used to work in the electronics section at Target. I was responsible for selling the prepaid phones we had. It was an okay job, and I got to deal with a lot of older people. There was this one brand of prepaid that we sell the most in Target called Consumer Cellular. Most of the clientele are 60 and older. So for the position, you definitely need patience because most of the customers don't understand how their phones work. Besides selling the phones, I'm also responsible for helping customers transfer their old information to the new phone they buy. That part can be tedious, but hey, I get paid to do it. Well, I was back in the electronics department and I was helping this older man transfer his content from his old Galaxy phone to his new one. He had the old phone for over 10 years and said it was finally time to make a change. He was nice, like most of the customers that I deal with. We had gotten to the part where I was about to transfer his content and told him that it could take a while, and if he wants to walk around the store a bit to kill time, he can do so. He said he would, and I told him to come back in like 20 minutes and everything should be transferred. I watched as he walked away and I got to work. I used a variety of different methods to do the transfers, and my one app I was using said this guy had over 10,000 photos. This shocked me a bit because that's quite a lot of photos, but nonetheless I got to it. Now, when it comes to transferring information, I usually try not to look. It's their personal information, and it's none of my business. However, I just so happened to glance down at the transfer process and noticed this guy had tons of pictures of little kids. At first I thought it was harmless. He was an older guy, and they could have easily been his grandkids. But then I noticed a lot of the photos were of many different kids. Like, I'm talking hundreds of different kids, many of whom were in bathing suits. Something deep inside me was telling me that something was wrong here. Why would some old guy have hundreds of pictures like this? I had a strong feeling these weren't his grandkids, unless he had hundreds of them. Just as I was starting to think the worst case scenario, the man comes back to electronics. He nearly startled me. He asked me if everything was complete, and I said yes, it's all done. But I couldn't help myself, and I say he has nice grandkids. The man looked at me in a confused way and said he doesn't have any grandkids. That's when my heart sunk. I tried to play it cool, but he looked at me in a pissed off way and said, "What did you see on my phone?" The man was in my face at this point, almost nose to nose. He was visibly shaking. I didn't answer, and he just grabbed both his phones and stormed out. I did make a comment to one of my managers about what I thought might be on those phones, because if I had kept scrolling, I think I might have seen even worse stuff. And the way he got so angry when I asked him about the grandkids was alarming too. But I don't think he'll ever come back in, especially now that I'm on to him. I was shopping at Target a month ago. I go almost every weekend, and I'll be the first to admit that I do have a spending problem there. I was shopping in the game section. I usually host game nights at my place, and I love finding new games for everyone to play. As I was browsing, I heard someone from behind me say, "Psst." I turned around and saw this middle-aged man standing down an aisle and looking at me. We made eye contact, and he gives me a wave. It was odd, and I thought it was just some weirdo that you might see from time to time whenever you go out. I continue my shopping and make my way over to the home section of Target. I also needed new picture frames for my living room. I was browsing through the frames when, again, I heard, "Psst." It was that same middle-aged guy, except this time he was closer than last time. I looked over at him, and again he gave me this energetic wave with a big smile. I studied him longer this time and noticed that he had thin hair, was slim, and had on this big jacket. I tried to give him my best bitch-faced death stare and walked away to another section. I continued shopping at Target for another hour or so, and I thought I had lost the guy. Either that or he had left, but I was just fine with not seeing him. But before I was going to leave, I decided that I would use the bathroom real quick because I felt like my bladder was going to explode. I run in quickly and sit in one of the stalls. I'm doing my business when I hear the bathroom door open. I figured it was just some other girl walking in when I heard, "Hey, psst." I look up and see a pair of eyes staring at me through the slits of the stall doors. I instantly recognized it to be that creepy-ass man. But even worse, I saw that he had his phone out and seemed to be recording me going to the bathroom. I screamed like hell for him to get away from me right now. He starts laughing, and then I see him run out of the bathroom in a hurry. Seconds later, employees rush in to see what the commotion was. At this point, I was in tears because of how terrified I was and explained the situation. They take me back to their asset protection room where I give a full account of what happened. They have the guy on camera and they know what he looks like, but he did run out of the store. They also notified police, and if he ever comes back to the store, he will be apprehended. But I doubt he'll come back. I don't know who he was or why he specifically targeted me to do this bizarre shit to. I've been back to that target multiple times since, and nothing like that has happened. I hope it stays that way. So this happened last year while me and my daughter were shopping at Target. It was mid-afternoon on a Saturday, and if you ever shopped at Target at that time, you know it's busy as hell. So it's me and my daughter, who was 4 at the time, and I was pushing her in the cart, shopping for back-to-school outfits for her. I had found some really cute clothes for her and were showing them to her, when I noticed this man sort of watching us from the corner of my eye. I would be browsing through the clothes and just see him gazing at me and my daughter from afar. Well, I don't think much of it when that same man starts walking directly towards us. I start to inspect him, and he seems to be middle-aged, out of shape, and a bald head. I try my best to ignore him because I feel him trying to make eye contact when he steps right up to me and my daughter. He says, "I don't mean to bother you, but the bus doesn't come for another hour. Would it be possible if you can give me a ride home?" Now, again, it's just my 4-year-old daughter and me. There was no way in hell I was going to take some stranger home. I told him politely that I'm sorry, but I can't do that. The man then sort of nods his head to this, and then looks at my daughter in the cart and says, "It will be a shame if something happened to your beautiful little girl." And I asked him what the hell he meant by that, and go to grab my phone to try and record him. But just as I do, he walks quickly away and out of sight. I do not take that behavior lightly, especially towards my own kid, and I end up going to the front of Target to speak with management. I made a complaint about that customer. Target has their own security in store, and 2 of them walk around to try and find the guy. They couldn't. I figured the coward had left already. I leave the store heated and pissed. I push the car to my car and start unloading our stuff into the back seat. I'm just finishing up putting my daughter into her car seat when I look up. Across the parking lot, I see that same man almost sprinting at us. I thought there was no way he was running towards us, but he indeed was. I quickly shut the back door, run to the front, and get in. And just as I automatically lock the doors, the man slams into my car. He's at my window, banging on it, screaming for me to please give him a ride home. At this point, my daughter is crying in the back seat because she's so terrified. I just put the car into drive and sped off. In my rear view, I see him frantically waving his hands in the air and still screaming. I get home and tell my husband everything. We call Target again, letting them know what happened in the parking lot, and they said they'll see what they can do about it. My husband doesn't want me ever going back to that Target, so now we shop at a different location. But to that creepy-ass psycho who pretty much attacked me and my daughter, I hope you missed your bus and died a painful death somewhere alone.